Good afternoon, ma'am. Today, we are going to report about modal split. What is modal split? Modal split is the third stage of travel demand modeling. Modal split is also the percentage of total transportation that is carried by each mode of transport. The main mode of transport are road, rail, air, maritime. The modal split can be varied depending on the type of goods being transported and the distance involved. In general, long-distance freight is carried by rail or maritime, while short-distance freight is carried by road. Passenger transport is typically a mix of road, rail, and air. In addition to that, the modal split is also known as modal share or mode choice. It is a common and widespread indicator in transportation engineering to evaluate transportation behavior. In brief, ang modal split kay nag-show siya percentage of travelers using a particular mode of transport compared to the ratio of all trips made. Example na niya is a higher modal split number of bicycle users or motorcycles bakaha. It indicates a more sustainable city. What is mode choice? Mode choice, it is the choice of transport mode and is probably one of the most important classic models in transport planning. Ang mode choice, it is the process whereby the transport decision maker decides upon the mode or modes of transport and the transport agents it requires for producing a transport service. Mode choice models are used to analyze and kanang mag-predict siya choices that individuals or groups of individuals make in selecting the transportation modes that are used for particular types of trips. On the other hand, mode choice is the process where the means of traveling is determined. The means of travel is referred to the travel mode, which may be by private automobiles, public transportation, kanang walking, bicycling, or other means. Ang mode choice kay i-apply na siya to travel that has kanang na-estimate na bitaw ang iya ang kanang travel, and meaning that the mode choice is applied to a trip or kanang tour or a group of trips or group of tours where the origin and destination are kanang nahibalaan na or already known. So let's move to the difference between the public transport and the private transport. So as we all know that transport, it is a source of movement for people from one geographical region to another. One can also kanang transfer luggages and goods from one place to another. Ang kaning transport kay murag na source of comfort na ni siya sa mga tao over couple of centuries. So, different modes of transports are kanang mga buses, cars, airplanes, and trains. Since wala man tayo trains dire, ang nakalang nato is ang buses, cars, and airplanes. So, in public transport, it is a modes that make use of road space more efficiently than kanang private transport. Also, they have more social benefits like if more people kanang of daghang if daghang tawo nga mo sugod o gamit og kanang public transport kay makalas siya og kanang congestion on the roads and kanang makalas pud siya og accident. So on the other hand, ang public transport is a mode of transport in which number of passengers shares a common transport facility. It includes kanang mga local buses. This kaning nga transport facilities nani siya specific routes and timings and connect major cities. They are generally run by the government. While ang kaning private transport, it is highly flexible. It provides more comfortable and convenient travel. It has better accessibility also. On the other hand, kaning private transport, It is a modality of transportation in which people use their own kanang mga cars or mga vehicles nila like motorcycle, bicycle, and cars, and etc. It has advantage over sa public transportation. It saves time, comfortable ka mo travel, and maka-allow siya wide use of vehicle according to schedule of the person using it. But it also maka-increase siya og kanang environmental pollution. It is costly as there is shortage of petrol in many countries, but its wide use over recent few years has proven that ang mga tao kay maka-afford na sila og kanang private vehicles karon. So, daghan paghihapog difference ang public transport o private transport. Such as kanang cost factor, parking, time saving, long distance traveling, air pollution, accidents, convenient, affordability, delays, pollution, and emission. So, sa public transport, kay it is a vehicle nga gigamit siya sa member sa community. It includes kanang mga buses, railways, and planes, nana. Ang private transport, it is used by the member of a family or kanang ikaw may owner gyud. Ang private transport includes kanang cars, bikes, or motorcycles, and etc. Diani sa cost factor, ang public transport, it is cheap overall. Especially, it's much cheaper when you are kanang mo visit kag asa ka nga lugar, mo adto, and napod siya mga kanabitong mga discount tickets. While ang kaning private transport, it proves to be costly due to petrol cost. Hamot na karon kay taas na kayo ang gasolina. Kaning sa private transport kay kung ikaw naa kay kanang kaugalingong sakyanan or motorcycle, you need to maintain your car or vehicle to keep it running properly. So the are sa public vehicles, it need not to be parked. You need kanang extra time para ma-park siya properly, and na siya space, and kanang na siya parking area bitaw. Like kanang sa terminal ingon ana, ang parking is usually very scarce in downtown areas and mahal po na siya. While sa private transport, it needs special constructed areas for parking, and dapat skilled ka ana. Kabalo ka sa mga techniques. Kung ikaw ang driver, kabalo ka unsaon nimo pag-park. Next is time saving. Public transport is a waste of time because they do not follow kanang schedule. Like kanang gong sa public transport kay dili jud na siya exact na kanang orasa maabot ka ani nana. While ang kaning private transport, it saves time. Kay ikaw may magbuot sa imong time kung kano sa ka mo adto, kano sa ka mo larga. Pero ang mga tao kay mas prefer man nila ang kanang private vehicle pag long distance na gali lang travel. So, next is air pollution. Public transport, makaless siya air pollution. While ang private transport, it is a major source of air pollution. Next is accident. Public vehicles show limited number of accidents, while on the other hand, ang private vehicles kay nag-increase siya accident ratio. Next is convenient. Ang public transport, it is convenient as you can sit back and relax, kana magbasa na lang kag newspaper, or kana matulog ba ka, or take a nap, or watch movies, and etc. Since kay dili man kakapuyon kay igora mo ka maglingkod. While ang private transport, need ka mag-focus and need nimo ihatag imong full attention as you must the driver and you must concentrate to the path. Next is affordability. Ang public transport, it is affordable for middle class, especially na mga students nga gaskwela nga layo ang school inana makalas rata. Tapos kaning private vehicle is expensive since ikaw pa magpalit sa gasolina, og maguban pa ka, ikaw pa magpaayo, di ba? Pero nindot pud og naapog kay private vehicle. Pero kung ako'y papilion, diaris ako sa public transport since makasave ko and estudyante pa. Next is delays. Public transports can cause delays, while private transport mostly saves you from delays. So next is ang pollution, and emission. Ang public transport, it keeps the weather clean as buses shared by many people together. So, less ang fuel smoke nga iya ang mahatag sa air and less po ang pollution. While ang kaning private transport, it is used by everyone, will become a large source of pollution emission, which will make the kanang hugaw bitaw ang iyang hangin nga igawas and unhealthy na siya sa tua. Kaning public and private transport, it provides convenience for people, but kaning duwa kay napon ni siya advantage of disadvantages. Although we can see in overpopulated cities or kanang public transport is much better option according to the difference between public and private transport. So let's move to the advantage of public transport and private transport. So in public transport, it includes environmental friendly, reduces congestion and traffic, bypass traffic. While sa private transport, it is more convenient, quicker to your destination, customizable experience, and better for school. So, first is environmentally friendly. Taking public transportation is one of the greenest decisions you could make. It's more environmentally friendly than using energy-efficient light bulbs or appliances. Taking public transit helps to decrease kanang carbon dioxide emissions and greenhouse gases, as well as carbon monoxide emission and other pollutants. So next, reduces congestion and traffic. Using public transportation also reduces congestion and traffic. Reduces congestion is especially significant since stalling vehicles expel the most kanang carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and other emissions. Then last is the bypass traffic. While commute speeds tend to be longer using public transportation, mas dako siya plus sa bypass traffic by using public transit. It reduces stress from driving, may even improve your vitality and mental health over time. Then let's move to the advantages of private transportation or private transport. So, first is more convenient. There is a peace of mind knowing that kanang makaschedule ka sa imong trip anywhere, anytime in your private bus or shuttle or cars or unsa pa na ang private vehicle na animo. Suppose there is an emergency or you prefer ka na mo travel ka during late or early hours baka ha, in that case, a private transportation service is probably more your style. Since you can more conveniently modify your private shuttle or bus to fit your individual needs. Kung kanpod napug kay children, ang kaning private transportation is much more convenient than public transit. Private transportation services offer more kanang customizable seating with options like kanang car seats and boosters. Next is the quicker to your destination. Suppose kanang ga-drive ka through a heavy environmental like kanang bisag asang country baka ha, ang public transportation may get you to your destination before your fellow private drivers. However, even for city residents, private transportation may still be faster, especially kanang mga group travels or mga trips baka ha. So in every situation is different. So you will want to experiment with public and private transportation before choosing the best of the two. So next is the customizable experience. So ang private transportation services nag-involve ni siya og kanang greater freedom of choice and personal independence. So kay makabuot ramang ka kay private good imo ang sakyanan, walay magbuot na. If you had kanang nakay large group or need kag extra space, A large charter bus may better suit for your needs. So next is better for school. Private transportation services for school are ideal for districts with inadequate busing. So kaning inani kay murag mas okay siya if kanang naa kay sarili na nga work, pero pag estudyante pa ka is mas preferred na to ang public transportation. So to end this part of this report, both private and public transit options kay naa siya mga advantages. You should select a mode. Mamili kag mode of transportation nga mas best ug suited for your lifestyle or travel plans. So, dili nimo dapat kalimtan that adventure is just as important as the destination. So, this is all my report, and let's move to the next reporter, Mr. Joseph Hamulod.
Hello, for my video's topic, I'm gonna talk about the factors influencing the mode of choice. There are four broad categories of factors affect the mode of choice. The first one is socio-economic characteristic of trip makers. Number 1, household income. The choice of mode of a high-income household and a low-income household may oppose. Number 2, car ownership. A person with a car and a person who don't own a car, again, these characteristics affect their mode of choice. Number 3, family size. The bigger family, more likely they will have a private transport. Number 4, age and sex. This means the choice of mode of a male and a female or for an old young person may not be the same. The second one is the characteristic of the trip. This will also influence the trip purpose and the trip distance. Ug ang tao mag-travel og 20 kilometers, imposible po siyang maglakaw. It's either mag-private or public transport mode na dayon siya. This include na makaapekto ni siya sa mode of choice of person. And another one is the time of the day. Parehaan ang manarbaho na manjoy particular time para mo reach og destination, as again, this will affect the mode of choice. The third one is the characteristic of the transportation system. Number 1, travel time. Number 2, travel costs. Number 3 is reliability. Number 4 is comfort and convenience. And the fourth category is the position of driver's license. Of course, if you don't have a license, there is a greater chance you would take a public transport.
Next, we have the types of modal split models. There are four types of modal split. First, we have trip and modal split. Traditionally, the objective of transportation planning was to forecast the growth in demand for car trips so that investment could be planned to meet the demand. When personal characteristics were thought to be the most important determinant of mode choice, attempts were made to apply modal split models immediately after trip generation. Such a model is called trip and modal split model. In this way, different characteristics of the person could be preserved and used to estimate the modal split. The modal split models of this time related to choice of mode only features like income, residential density, and car ownership. So, the major determinant of mode choice is the level of service. Then, kani siya ma-determine ang percentage kung pila kabuok ang mag-travel using the mode of transit or auto based on giingon diri like income, kung unsa kadaghan ang namuyo sa ka lugar og ownership sa car. Then we have the procedure. The first, we have to generate total trip productions and attraction by trip purpose. So pag na-generate nato na siya, makompute na nato ang urban travel factor, and we can determine the percentage of trips using transit and using mode choice curve. Then after that, we can apply the auto occupancy factors, then distribute transit and auto trips separately. So for example, we have this. Determine the percentage of residents expected to use transit for a zone 1.80 household per auto and a residential density of 15,000 persons per mile squared. So in order to get the urban travel factor, we have the equation UTF is equal to 1 over 1,000, which is constant, multiplied by the or household per auto, which is 1.80 sa given nga problem, multiplied again to the persons per mile, which is 15,000. So the answer is 27.0. So para mahibawan na to ang percentage, since percentage ang gipangayo kung pila ka ang mag-travel using the mode of transit, so atang i-graph. So as you can see, 27 is expected percentage of transit mode split is equal to or approaching to 45%. So sayo na kay siya, no, ito arang i-multiply diretso. Next, the second model is the trip interchange model split model. So this is the post distribution model. That is, model split is applied after the distribution stage. This has advantage that it is possible to include the characteristic of the journey and the alternative modes available undertaken them. It is possible to include policy decisions. This is beneficial for long-term modeling. So this model is more complex than the other model kay diri may determine how good the level of services offer or rendered in this mode. So this take into account level of services available in estimating the transit mode split. Then information or data is needed to estimate the mode of choice. Next we have kani the trip interchange model considers system level of service variability. First, in vehicle time travel. So bali mo ni siya goan kanang i-compare kung og mag-vehicle ka pila ka oras ang travel time compared sa mag-auto ka. Then example walking and waiting. For example, ini mo sakay kag bus kanang sa time nimo na kay time maghulat, time nimo exact time which is kanang tanang oras nga imong na render gamit kani siya nga travel. Then next we have the travel cost. There are namasud sa travel cost ang gasoline, ang other expenses like parking. Then next, economic status of trip maker. So mo to siya kung unsa ang status, kung naa ba siya ika-afford nga makasakay ana nga mode of transport or siya mag-auto. Nakadepende pod sa kita. So for example, so in order to get the impedance is equals to in vehicle travel time, then pila ka minutes ang render plus 2.5 nga constant incess time na to siya diri ang kanang paglakaw. So 2.5 ang gi-render which is nahimo siyang constant plus 3 sa cost trip. Tipo ang cost trip pag mag-auto. Then divided by the income earned per minute. So suppose the data shown in the table 12.21 show travel data between a suburban zone S and a downtown zone D. The exponent value for the impedance factor is 2 and the median income is 24,000. So determine the expected percentage of auto and transit trips. So ang distance nato is 10 mile per second og ang 8 mile per second. So cost per mile is 0.15 mo na siya ang cost per mile kay sa gasoline. Then ang cost per mile aning mag-transit kay 0.10. Excess time 5 minutes and sa transit 8 minutes kay syempre man kana mang daghan man maghapit-hapit man maghunong-hunong, then mas hinay pud mo padagan ang transit. Then sa parking cost ang auto kay inig mo parking magbayad man jud. So ang transit wala ra kay wala man siya sa parking. Sa speed kay 30 mile per hour. Then ang sa kay 20 mile per hour ra, mas hinay gining transit. So there example. Impedance of auto is equals to 10, which is the time sa vehicle. Mo to ang time sa tantawan lang sa table. Multiplied 60 minutes per hour over 30 minutes per hour. Plus 2.5, which is constant, and the 5 minutes excess time inig gamit og auto. Multiplied by 3, which is the constant, times the trip cost, kanang 0.15 ang cost per mile, multiply by 10 miles, kay 10 miles man ang distance, 10 per miles man, ay 10 miles per second, sorry, plus 0.75, kani siya, 0.75, exist na siya, per parking na siya, 0.75. Maong 1 point kuan to ganina kay, kuan man, duha man ka parkingan. So, 0.75 inig isa ra. Then, over 24,000, which is per year nga income, multiplied kung 24,000 times per year is mahimo siyang 120,000 over a year. So, which is the income earned per minute. So, if ikuan siya, i-multiply siya, mahimo siyang 66.25. Then, if transit ang gamiton, we have 8 mile per second ra, kay kuan man, kay mas kusog man, mas paspas man ang dagan sa auto. So, maba siya dagan. Then, 20 minutes per hour plus 2.5 and 8 minutes ang kuan, kanang travel time or excess time, plus 0.10 ra ang trip cost, kay mas barato man siya, multiplied by 8 mile per second over 24,000, which is the income, or 120,000 income in a year na, in 1 year. Then, ang iyang travel cost is 56,000. So, MS Auto is equals to 56,000 squared over 56,000 squared plus 66.25 is equal to 0.417, or inig ato siyang ikuan percent, pila ka percent, 41.7%. Then, MS Transit is equals to 1 minus MS Auto, which is the 41.7. So, 1 is equals to 0.417 is equals to 0.583, or 58.30%. So, therefore, 58.30% of travel between the zones S and zones D is expected to be via transit. So, mo na siya ang percentage nga mosakay og transit, 58.3. So, that would be all. The next two models will be presented by the next reporter.
My report is the continuation report of Miss Nelvi Jatico. Number 3 is the aggregate and disaggregate models. Mode choice could be aggregate if they are based on zonal and interzonal information. They can be called disaggregate if they are based on household or individual. What is the difference between the aggregate model and disaggregate model? The aggregate model may provide the most convenient means of forecasting when zonal homogeneity conditions are met, while the disaggregate models provide a theoretical foundation for the aggregate models and provide conditions under which the aggregate models will give valid forecast. Number 4 is the binary logit model. Binary logit model is the simplest form of mode choice where the tabler choice between two models is made. The tabula will associate some value for the utility of each mode. If the utility of one mode is higher than the other, then that mode is chosen. But in transportation, we have this utility also. Binary logistic regression model, or the logic model method, is used to identify the determinants and derive the model used to estimate the probability of using each mode of transport. Modes of transport were categorized into two types. Number 1 is the private transport method, or the cars. And the 2 is the public transport mode, or the bus. This is the end of the report. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all.